Assuming the presidency at the depth of the Great Depression, Franklin Roosevelt faced a nation with unemployment at 25%, and a citizen base so immersed in a struggle for daily survival that they lacked the ability or willingness to see the possibility of better times. The nation was paralyzed, unable to imagine a way to rise again to the greatness they'd experienced at other points in history. President Roosevelt believed the only way forward was to help the American people regain faith in themselves so that they could rise and propel America to its next chapter. And thus, in his first inaugural address, he said, "This is the time to speak the truth, the whole truth, frankly and boldly. This great nation will endure as it has endured, will revive and prosper. So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance." In coining this oft-quoted saying, FDR was channeling an ancient piece of wisdom that's relevant to the human condition from the beginning of time till today. Fear can be debilitating completely. Now, this is not to say that there are not very real things in this world that we should be afraid of. And it might even serve us well to be afraid of, because we live in a scary world. With plagues raging around the world, from the natural to the man-made, and all of them thanks to 24/7 coverage in the palm of your hand, how can we not be afraid? It's all around us. Yet, when we allow fear to control us, when we allow that fear to prevent us from taking the steps necessary for our own success, and when we allow our fears to build on themselves, growing in our minds larger than whatever reality they might represent, we fall into a dangerous pit that can lead to complete downfall. Happens in our Torah portion. As the Israelites are on their way to the promised land, Moses sends spies ahead to scout it out and come back and share what they saw. And what they saw scared them to the point of total paralysis. They let it grow in their mind until 10 of the 12 men sent by Moses to explore the land came back and said, quote, "We can't go up against those people. They are stronger than us, giants. The land which we have journeyed through, scouted, devours its inhabitants." In fact, the opposite was probably true. As Tony read in the Haftorah in the book of Joshua, when Joshua sent spies to Jericho, Rahab, the harlot, told the spies, quote, "A great fear has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you, Israelites." Our hearts melted in fear, and everyone's courage failed because of you, because we saw what God did for you at the Sea of Reeds. The spies were guilty of projecting their own fears on others, because they said to the Israelites, the 10 spies said, "We were like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so therefore terror and dread fell upon us." The 10 spies came back with a sense of dread that grew and grew and grew. And hearing the horrors reported by these 10 spies, the people are deflated. The spies' fear infects the entire nation. But we have to ask ourselves, looking at this fear, what was the nature of this fear? What's at the base of it? What were they actually afraid of? And what allowed Joshua and Caleb to come back with different reports? How is it that 10 came back with one report? They saw the exact same thing. Exact same thing. Yet 2 came back with a different interpretation. Caleb and Joshua said, "No, let us by all means go up and gain possession of it, for we shall surely overcome it." So based on the writings of university psychologist Carol Dweck, Rabbi Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory teaches us that there are 2 types of mindsets that impact how we respond. Some see their abilities, their skills, their traits, as given and unalterable. We each have our unique abilities and deficits. That's who we are for our lives, and there's nothing we can do about it. What we have is what we have. And this is called the fixed mindset. I am who I am. I'm good at what I am, and I'm not good at what I am. That's it. Others believe that we can grow and change. We can change our own nature of who we are. And when we don't succeed, it's not failure, but an opportunity to learn. And this is called the growth mindset. Those with a fixed mindset tend to avoid difficult challenges because they fear failure. People with growth mindsets see failure as an opportunity to grow. So applying this logic to the spies, we see something brilliant that Rabbi Sacks pointed out. Who were the men who were sent as spies? The Torah tells us they were the leading men of the Israelites, the princes, the highest levels, with reputations to guard. People had expectations of them. They didn't want to be seen as failures because they felt they had to maintain their status. And so they came back and said, "We can't do it. We need to just stay where we are." Caleb and Joshua didn't. Now, why? Caleb is an interesting situation because Caleb came from the tribe of Judah. What about Judah? Now, Judah, in the book of Genesis, was the first person to say, "I was wrong." The first person to say, "I made a mistake. I screwed up, and I need to learn from my mistakes." He did it with his daughter-in-law, Tamar. And then Judah was the one who sold his brother into slavery and later came back, standing in front of his brother, not realizing it's his brother, when his brother Joseph took Benjamin and said, "I'm going to take him as my personal slave." And Judah said, "No, take me instead. Take me instead." Judah learned from the point that he sold his brother to the point that he was prepared to give himself over, that humans can change and humans can grow. Caleb was a descendant of Judah. Joshua had a name change. He was Hoshea and he became Yehoshua. Maimonides, the great medieval scholar, says anybody who changes their name changes their fortune, changes their outlook on the world, and proves that they have the ability to become somebody new. People with the growth mindset don't fear failure. They relish challenges. People with the growth mindset realize that things are possible if we just look at it a different way. The paradoxical but liberating truth, as Rabbi Sacks teaches us, is that the fear of failure causes us to fail, but the willingness to fail allows us to succeed.